Thanks for tuning in to DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. It's Tuesday, September 23rd. It's 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We're here Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Nice to see you again, John. How are you doing?
Good to see you. It's been a busy day. I'm in Los Angeles all week, and it's just like the 3-hour time difference is a lot. You know, you wake up and you think you're waking up early, and the East Coast already has 3 hours on you.
Yeah, I used to live in the San Francisco Bay Area and in LA, and everybody in the East Coast just assumes that the whole country is up with them, and then the West Coasters get their revenge when they call you on the East Coast at like 4:55 their time, right before they kick off work, and it's like, guys, it's 7:55 at night. I don't want to start a 1-hour meeting. What do you guys?
Yes, indeed. It takes getting used to.
I mean, and I'm not even going to get into the plight of the poor Hawaiians. But
how do they get anything done?
Our apologies to you guys. I think they're just so chill, they don't care. All right, lots to talk about. Just before we went on the air, Donald Trump once again flip-flopped on Ukraine, saying now that after he hung out with Zelensky, that he thinks now that with the proper assistance, Russia can be defeated and Ukraine can get back all of its territory that it's lost to Russia in the war. I don't know if that includes Crimea or not. Trump wasn't specific. I would assume that it would. I think I have to ask myself, it's too early for early onset dementia? Are we just talking about, is he Bidening out on us? What's going on here? We also have the Jimmy Kimmel situation, which is getting just stranger and stranger. And of course, this even by the standards of strange Trump speeches, Trump's speech, 1 hour long, was a humdinger. We'll go over that. John, I definitely want to pick your brains on this Sim Farm plot that's completely unattributed. We don't know if it was a state actor, if it was a private group, what it was about, what did it have anything to do with the UN. We'll get into the details of this. The Iranians are not going to be allowed to go to Costco while they visit New York for the UN General Assembly. Very sad. Or Sam's Club, I should point out, or BJ's. Really seriously, that's true. And of course, we have to talk about this really stupid Tylenol crap. We talked a little bit about this before the show. I'm looking forward to hearing your take on that, John. And finally, a little good news. Duterte, the former dictator of the Philippines, he's just been slammed with 76 drug war murder charges. The only problem there is that he's probably guilty of a lot more than that. But, hey, whatever you can get is great. It's, when this was all happening with impunity, I thought, I hope someday he pays for this. So it looks like that day has arrived. So where shall we start?
Yeah, let's get the worst of it out of the way first.
Okay.
Trump's speech at the United Nations. Well, you know what? Trump's speech at the United Nations and Trump's allegation that Tylenol, of all things, causes autism. But you can cure it by buying Dr. Oz's special formula vitamins. I mean, the grift is just, they might as well put it in neon lights. It's sickening. But anyway, let's start with Trump at the United Nations. That speech was literally all about him. Now, this nastiness, this anti-UN nastiness that he delivered is vintage 1982 Ronald Reagan. This has all been done before. None of it's new. When I was on Capitol Hill working as a junior staff member, and even before that as an intern in the early 1980s, people would come and give us buttons to put on that said, "Withdraw from the United Nations." I never understood it. But here we are again.
The United Nations was our idea. We hosted.
Yeah, exactly. And we essentially control it.
True.
So I don't know. What he hoped to accomplish other than appearing like a tough guy, I don't get it, Ted. I don't know what this speech was about.
Well, he certainly made his hardcore followers like Laura Loomer on Twitter very happy.
Oh, yeah. She went nuts on whatever, Truth Social or whatever.
That's all that this was for. But anyway, I mean, let's go through some of the lowlights here, right? So Axios has this. So first of all, he thanked El Salvador for running a gulag for us. That's awesome. I love this line. He said that the UN wasn't there for us. The UN isn't supposed to be there for us.
No, it's not.
Supposed to be.
It's supposed to be a peacekeeping body.
Yes, and it's supposed to be there for the world. No particular country, no one country in particular. Not for you. He said, everybody thinks that he should get the Nobel Prize. Everyone. Not everyone. This is like I remember in middle school, someone threw a party at school and someone said, everyone was there. And I'm like, I wasn't there. Okay. Yeah. I'm part of everyone. And I say he doesn't deserve a Nobel Peace Prize. Although I'd be willing to reconsider that if he were to rein in the Israelis and, and force, and in fact, cut off the Israelis and acknowledge Palestine and enforce the Palestinian state at the force of arms. I'll give him the Peace Prize myself.
That's right.
He complained that his company, the Trump Organization, didn't get to renovate the UN. He said that he doesn't like the terrazzo floors. He would have gone with marble. Of course he would have, Donald.
Of course he would have, and he would have gilded it. Yeah.
Yes, he would.
Right.
Lots of brass. He said that the mayor of London wants to impose Sharia law in London. I'm not an expert on London city politics, but I'm betting that's not true. He said, your countries are going to hell. You're doing it because you want to be nice. He's talking about green energy. You want to be politically correct. You're destroying your heritage. He was pissed off at windmills. He said that windmills are so pathetic and so bad.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a thing about windmills. Yes.
Very well,
and he claims it's because he loves birds and that they kill birds.
But birds aren't real. We've already established that.
True. They're government surveillance drones.
And also, I think doesn't he have property in Scotland that is near a planned windmill farm?
That's right. And it's going to ruin the view, he says. That's really why he's against it.
He said climate change, this might be the most substantive thing. He said that stupid people had made predictions about the effects of global warming. He called carbon footprint nonsense, said that the Paris Climate Agreement is fake. On that point, I would agree since it didn't accomplish anything, but that's probably not what he meant. And then he said, I remember hearing about the carbon footprint, and then Obama would get into Air Force One, a massive Boeing 747. Okay, so let me speak slowly and use small words, Mr. President. It's like one person changing to, like, let's say Obama went home on a rowboat is not going to change climate change. We need systemic governmental international action to stem massive amounts of greenhouse gases. And even a giant plane like Air Force One is not going to be enough to make a difference here. He said that radicalized environmentalists want for there to be no more cows. I guess they want to kill all the cows.
That reminded me, that's also an ongoing debunked Republican theme, that Democrats want to make it illegal to eat beef. That started in the 90s when someone started a rumor that Oprah Winfrey was trying to get the eating of beef outlawed. Of course, it was ridiculously
and she was sued by the Texas Cattlemen's Association.
That's right, by the Cattlemen's Association. That's exactly right. And here we are 25 years, 30 years later, and Trump is still going on and on with these debunked false claims. But he made them worse with this Tylenol thing. Tylenol was not invented until 1950. And so, there was plenty of autism before 1950. Oh my God. But you know what? It would be easy for dum-dums to believe that Tylenol was linked to autism because they're not going to Google when Tylenol was created. Where he blew it was then referring everybody to Dr. Oz's phony vitamin supplements and saying that ordering Dr. Oz's vitamins would prevent autism.
This is more retarded RFK stuff too.
Yeah, it is.
The thing is, I'm extremely sympathetic to parents who have kids with autism. I was terrified that my kid might have autism. We did an amniocentesis to minimize the chances of that. So, I mean, seriously, I would love to find out what's causing it. But I don't know, and I don't think anyone knows whether we're just talking about if the increase in reporting reflects an increase in prevalence, or just improved reporting. I mean, I don't think in 1820, if little Timmy was off, I think everyone just said little Timmy is off, and that was it. And no one was keeping records on this. So we just don't know.
There was a little girl in our church when I was a kid. She was maybe 5 years younger than I was. And I remember people just saying she was peculiar. Well, now all these years later, it's clear to me, it's obvious that she had autism. But nobody knew what autism was in 1975,
Right. Good point. Well, Anton Dalton says on the YouTube feed, global warming is BS. Global warming, I'm sorry, with all due respect, and I do appreciate that you're watching the show. It's really simple, very simple science. It's not BS. I mean, the fact is that the planet is heating. Average temperatures are increasing. You can, in most places where you live, you can see the difference if you're there for any length of time. And the effects are measurable. There are places that, you're seeing effects, that on stuff that's been around for thousands of years, like glaciers that are melting. And like the point is, yes, there can be human-caused climate change supplementing natural climate change. But what's happening now and what has never happened before is the rapidity of the current change that we're seeing. That just has never occurred before. And it's really, this wasn't questioned. This wasn't politicized at all until the 80s. And again, you mentioned Reagan, he of the ketchup as a vegetable. That's when Republicans decided weaponizing anti-science almost all climatologists, it's like 99% plus, all agree that climate change is happening. All the predictions have actually turned out to be overly optimistic. It's accelerating much worse. I don't know. I mean, I hate the fact that we can't even agree on the facts, because how the hell are we going to talk about possible solutions if we can't even admit that there's a problem, John?
Yeah, I think that's right. We are so far apart as a country on so many different issues. I just don't know how we can improve things. Part of the problem is that it's so easy to convey false information and to have false information spread like wildfire. And actually, I said something false yesterday that one of our viewers corrected me on in an email, and I'm grateful for that. I said that Sweden had not recognized Palestine, and Sweden not only has, but it's one of the earliest countries to recognize Palestine. So I apologize for that. It was Finland has not recognized Palestine. So my apologies. But anyway, getting back to, it's easy to say, well, in the good old days when print media ruled. No, the New York Times pushed us into war with Iraq. The Washington Post has become a right-wing rag. It's not easy to just point to one reason why the country's gone down the toilet. There are lots of different reasons. Somebody asked also if I've given up hope of a pardon. I sound like it. I haven't. And I have to keep telling myself, back off. I mentioned yesterday, I spoke to Tucker Carlson the other day about the Charlie Kirk memorial service. And he told me, he said, buddy, you got to back off on Gaza. And I said, I can't help it. I can't remain silent. So,
well, that's never gotten you into trouble before, John. A big tall cup of shut the fuck up is not really John Kiriakou's style.
It's not my style.
No,
I was just telling. I filmed a podcast this morning in a studio here in Los Angeles. It was in Brentwood, and the guy said to me, "I know you." He said, "You got an award like 10 years ago." I said, "Yeah. I got the the Penn First Amendment Award. And he said, and then you got in a big fight with Francis Ford Coppola. And I said, yeah. And I called him a fucking asshole, and it made the LA Times.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know about the Coppola
I
story.
said, I can't help myself. I just can't help myself. What am I going to say?
Don't ever change, Sean. Tom Wilcox, that's really funny. He says he remembers me from college, Barnard Cafeteria at Columbia University.
Hey, that's cool.
I was indeed there. That is true. And that's, in fact, some of that is the subject of the John's interview with me for the Rumble Premium stuff, which is just a reminder. Please like, follow, and share the show, and watch us on Rumble. We need you to do that as much as possible. HHQ95, as a mother of an autistic child, I assume Trump, is doing a huge disservice. Yeah, I think that's right.
Hey, Ted, here's a question that I think you would be better at than me. Big Boss Bob Ross says, do you read any modern socialist or leftist newspapers or publications about current events? The only one I know that hasn't become corporate Democrat trash is Jacobin. I love Jacobin. I even started buying old issues of Ramparts on eBay. I don't know why.
That's really funny. I literally have been recently rereading old copies of Monthly Review, the socialist quarterly, monthly, obviously. Jacobin's about it. I actually have my complaints about Jacobin because I feel like sometimes if you scratch those socialists, you find a Humphrey liberal Democrat underneath. I prefer that they weren't so still kind of hoping that the Democratic Party could be reformed, kind of thing, just because I don't think it's true. And therefore it's a waste of time. And, we have better things to talk about. The truth is, really the best lefty stuff is overseas. So, there's that question. Yeah. So, but I mean, Jacobin's good. I'm a little upset that Jacobin won't run my cartoons.
Why won't they run your cartoons?
You'd have to ask them. They just don't. Stevie's like, I only read the Antifa daily. I guess we should talk about that. That's not actually on our topic for today. We didn't have it on the list, but whatever. So Trump passed an executive order not only declaring Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization, of which there's no such thing, there's only international designated terrorist organizations, but said that he's going to he's going to go after the funders of Antifa and block their bank accounts. Okay, so again, small words, speaking slowly. Antifa is like ennui and angst. It's an idea. Okay, like it's like fascism itself. Yeah, you can't stop the funders of fascism because fascism is just an idea. There's no fascism bank account. There's no Antifa bank account. There is, but you wouldn't know that to read X right now. All the MAGA people are going crazy, like find the people who are funding it, stop them, put them in prison. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Why? I mean, if you want to go after George Soros, at least he exists.
Yeah, right. I saw a meme on Facebook yesterday that made me laugh out loud. It had a side-by-side two pictures. On the left, it was a picture of Hitler, and underneath it said, Fa. And on the right, it was a guy storming the beach of Normandy, and it says, Anti-Fa. You choose. And it's true. First of all, Antifa is an idea. It's not a club. You don't get a membership card when you join. You don't get put on the Antifa magazine monthly mailing list.
Which I would read religiously.
I would too. But to think that, first of all, nobody funds Antifa unless somebody throws in $20 for printing flyers or whatever. But this is just another MAGA red herring that's going to come to nothing.
Rebellious Rainbow Unicorn. I don't know what you mean by none of my comments are being accepted. Do you mean being posted, or do you mean like being discussed? DFC91 John wants to know if you watched Tucker's new 9/11 documentary.
I did, and I was just talking to a friend about it less than an hour ago. He had an FBI guy on. See, now this is what I like to see. The argument is not over thermite paint or micro explosive, particles, or the space aliens coming down to, zap the building. The point of Tucker's interview with this FBI agent was that we knew Al-Qaeda was going to attack us. We knew the identities of the hijackers, but CIA and FBI refused to cooperate with one another. And the White House was so obsessed with China that they didn't even allow discussion of a potential attack by Al-Qaeda. I got to say, whether you like Tucker or hate Tucker, lately he's been coming out with stuff that it's very difficult for me to disagree with. It's because he doesn't answer to anybody anymore.
That makes sense. I mean, I did not see the documentary, so I can't speak to it at all.
You'd like it.
Okay. I will check it out. Well, should we talk about this? I mean, I really want to talk about this SIM thing. It's really, really bizarre. So for people who haven't been following it, basically, this strikes me as very vague. I'm just going to read from CBS News, which I assume picked this up from a wire service. But the Secret Service says it has disrupted a sprawling telecom network here in the New York tri-state area, not in New York, but as close as 35 minutes away, that it says posed a denial of service disruption threat to all of the New York phone systems, which would have really sucked because we might not have been able to do the show today, or at least I would not have been able to. And as a possible threat to the UN General Assembly, they say that they found active SIM farms, as in SIM cards, at abandoned apartment buildings at more than 5 sites. In total, they discovered 300 servers with 100,000 cards, enabling encrypted anonymous communication that are capable of sending up to 30 million texts per minute. They said that servers were so powerful they could have disabled cell phone towers and launched distributed denial of services attacks that would have blocked even 911 services. One official briefed on the investigation said that this could text the entire country within 12 minutes. It's well organized and well funded. We can't share which officials were targeted, but as the investigation continues, we expect that we will find more officials once we get through the data. They said that this was used for communication between foreign state actors and individuals known to U.S. law enforcement, including crime gangs, drug cartels, human trafficking rings, and my cat Clovis. I mean, it's bizarre because it's like, I don't even know why they announced this, because they're not telling us. They're telling us sort of what. They're not telling us who, and they really don't seem to know why. I guess I might have sat on this a little longer before calling this press conference if I were them. I mean, what's going on here? I mean, is what they're saying even plausible? I mean, we got to speculate.
All I can think, Ted, is that this is the Chinese. This is one of the things that the Chinese are very, very good at. They're very patient. They rely heavily on tech. And we know that they have been buying up land around U.S. military bases in odd places like North Dakota or Nebraska. And then they're building like server farms, for example, which is likely a cover, but they're really good at it. They're really patient. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing here.
So is the goal to basically have infrastructure in place that if the time came and there were a cyber war or a hot war, they could flip a switch and just turn us off?
Yes, exactly right. That's exactly what it's for. And see, this shows you too how much better other countries' intelligence services are than ours at long-term planning.
So how do you think this? How do you think this was found? I mean, do you think that the U.S. maybe satellite scans for the signals and found this like a cluster of signals all in these 5 locations, or or maybe the power bill was crazy at these abandoned sites? I know that's how they find meth labs. Is from the power bills are crazy.
From the power. Yeah, it's from the power. In fact, in Afghanistan, there was a brigadier general that I was working with, and he showed me a satellite photo of Afghanistan, of rural Afghanistan at night. And there were these little pinpricks of light all over the place. And he said, every one of those is a meth lab. It gets really, really hot when you make meth. And it gets hot in those little huts to the point where the satellites can read the heat. This may have been it. It may have been another thing. Look, somebody's got to be hired to, sweep the place and mop the floors, and change the air filters and stuff. And maybe somebody just said, what is this place anyway? And then reported it.
But then they might be, so then would the Chinese typically work with, drug dealers and, syndicate criminals here in the United States? That's what the article is claiming.
Well, there was an issue in New York 2 years ago where that's exactly what they were doing. They were working with criminal gangs. They happen, of course, to be Chinese criminal gangs. And the idea was that these criminal gangs were helping them locate Chinese and Chinese Americans in America who were anti-Chinese government. And they would just, knock on the door. And when these people answered the door, give them a good beating, or harass them, or threaten them, or tell them you have to come back to China or we're going to kill your family. And they go back to China and they're imprisoned. There's all kinds of bad shit going on. It's not just our government.
The General Assembly thing probably was just a coincidence of timing.
I'm almost positive that it was a coincidence. Yeah.
I mean, because what would be the motive of shutting down that would expose them, right?
Yes, it would expose them, right? So you would think that they would be especially quiet during a major event like the UN General Assembly.
It's such a bizarre plot. Do you think we're going to hear more, or is this going to be just one of those? Do you think, the United States will summon the Chinese ambassador and complain?
Probably. And then what happens? I've actually been in meetings where the U.S. ambassador is called in and read the riot act, and his job is to stand there and act as innocent as he possibly can and just say, I don't know what you're talking about. That guy that was arrested, he was not a CIA officer under deep cover. He was just some guy. And so I'm sorry if you're upset. I'm sorry if you feel that your sovereignty has been violated, but that's just not our guy. And then secretly, the station chief will go to the head of the local service and say, all right, you made your point. Give me my guy back. And then they turn him over.
Kyle Carpenter is asking, I work as an engineer for telecom development in the U.S. Should I be concerned that our projects are being used, hijacked by foreign intelligence?
I would say you should be worried that the Chinese and maybe the Russians and definitely the Israelis are trying to infiltrate your workplace. Yeah.
Oh, UXXX. He thinks, I like the way he thinks. If this was Israel and not Russia or China, would we ever hear about this story again? Or do we ever hear about this story again?
Yeah, that's a good question. If it was Israel, no, we'll never hear this story again. It's just going to go away. They'll just pretend like it never happened.
Pasta Chef wants, this is a question for you. This is pertinent to what you and I were talking about earlier. John, are you still meeting the president of Iran?
Actually, no. For a couple of reasons. Well, first of all, it was supposed to be tonight, the 23rd. I got an email from the Iranian mission to the United Nations saying that there was a delay in the State Department issuing a visa to President Pezeshkian. So he's arriving tomorrow, and he is not meeting with American peace activists anymore. There were supposed to be the 6 of us. And instead, he's going to meet with a small group of Iranian Americans on Friday evening. It's a shame. Oh, and he was going to bring a press officer with him from Press TV, and that journalist was denied a visa. So he's coming with no media support.
Okay, Charismatic, thank you very much for the donation. Did you guys see, by the way, if you're looking to donate to us on YouTube, that question came up yesterday. Please, we have about a month to sort something out over on YouTube, and those super stickers should be restored at that point. But in the meantime, if you'd like to donate, please donate to us over on Rumble. Did we see the Secret Service foiled an alleged plot? Oh, never mind. This is so we just literally talked here. So they claim there's only 3 countries that would do that: China, Russia, and Israel. Well, we just answered that question. So John thinks it's China, and I'm not going to complain about that.
The Chinese are very, very sophisticated. They're not great at recruiting human sources. They never have been, and partly it's because Chinese intelligence officers, generally as a group, do not have a terrific command of the English language. And
well, that would do it.
Yeah, hard for them to recruit people.
It's like they can't. It's like, you want me to do what? You want me to spy on what? Who? That's
and yes, Antipominus, it likely would have negatively affected my pardon efforts. See, I have trouble controlling myself.
Rob Newman says us two seem to have a healthy stock of American memorabilia you've collected. Ever thought of doing a John and Ted Antique Roadshow?
Oh, I would totally do that.
We could do that here on the air. Be awesome. Bring together some of our favorite things.
Yeah,
I definitely have. I know, John, you have a lot. And right now I have my eyes on eBay on this James K. Polk token that I'm dying to have. I've been looking for it for a long time. Starting bid though is over $1,100, and I'm still, you and I know the financial state that we're in. But I'm. It's like one of those pieces that like would really fill a hole in my collection because I don't have a Polk. And
wow, that would be very good. Have you looked at heritage auctions?
Oh yeah, mm-hmm.
Heritage. I've gotten just marvelous things at Heritage. One thing that I was outbid on that I really should have doubled down on was the original key to Abraham Lincoln's tomb.
Ooh.
I went up to $1,500.
Was it is it authenticated?
Oh yeah. There's a provenance that goes like from the minute they turned the lock for the first time. I went up to $1,500 and it ended up going for like $6,000. It was projected to go for $1,000 to $1,500.
Wait, is the lock still there? Could you get in there if you had that key?
No, they've changed the tomb twice.
Oh, okay.
Because in the early 1900s, somebody tried to steal his body to try to hold it for ransom. And,
as one does.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what Hamas is doing.
And that's what they did to Evita Peron. They stole her body. And it was missing for years. But anyway, with Lincoln, they ended up making this gigantic private mausoleum. The whole Lincoln family's in there except for Robert Todd, who's in Arlington Cemetery. He was supposed to, this is a little footnote in history. Robert Todd Lincoln, he was the only Lincoln child to survive to adulthood. And he became Secretary of War under President McKinley. And then he became ambassador to the United Kingdom. And then he became president of the Pullman Train Car Company. And that's where he got rich and retired. But when he died in 1920, 1921, something like that, everybody just assumed that he would be buried in the Lincoln family mausoleum in Springfield. And his wife said no, that he had served in the Union Army during the Civil War. He had served as an ambassador. He had served as the Secretary of War. She said his father was a very important man, but he was an important man too, and he deserves some recognition. So she insisted that he be buried in Arlington. He's there with his wife and his son. And then the Lincoln family name died out in 1972, and there are no more direct descendants of Abraham Lincoln.
That is very interesting and weird. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, and any Pomenos wants to know what's a good way to get into vintage collecting, especially for a beginner.
Oh yeah. What a great
Any recommended resources?
Yes, and yes. So listen, I think Ted's going to agree. It's all about provenance.
Mm-hmm.
All of it. Provenance is where you can list the ownership from the time it was first made or first bought or first conceived or whatever. You can trace that ownership right down to the point where it comes into your possession. For example, I have 3 of, people are going to think I'm weird. I have 3 of Abraham Lincoln's strands of hair.
Mm.
Did I mention this the other day on the
I don't
show?
think so. No.
Well, I have 3 strands of Lincoln's hair, and it's not exciting hair like, you know,
you could clone him. You could give it to Colossal and have him brought back like the dodo bird.
It doesn't include the roots.
Oh.
And the reason it doesn't include the roots is, you know, today when we see somebody famous, we want to take a selfie together.
Mm.
And for the previous 100 years, we would see somebody famous and we would want to get their autograph. Well, in the 19th century, people collected hair from important people. And so, especially like royal family members or famous stage actors or politicians, people would write them letters and say, you know, dear Mr. Lincoln, may I have some of your hair for my collection? So when famous people would go to get haircuts, the barber would collect the hair and give it to them in a bag. And anytime somebody would write a letter, a fan letter, you take a few strands out, you put it in the envelope and say, oh, you asked me for my hair, here it is.
And loved ones often kept a lock of hair in a locket.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so it's all about provenance. Now, the hair that I have was given to the daughter of the governor of Indiana. The governor was a friend of Lincoln's, and his daughter was like a fangirl. And so she gave it to her daughter, and that daughter gave it to her son, and it went down through his family. And then in the 1950s, it was sold to this guy who was like the preeminent, most prolific Lincoln collector that ever existed. Half of what's on the market now once belonged to him. He cataloged the provenance of everything he had. And then when he died, his wife put it on sale, and I bought it at auction.
That's cool, though. I agree completely with one of the more recent comments. Elysia something said it's all about like collecting stuff that you really know about.
Yes.
And just and do that. Hold on. Start out with collecting only one thing and research everything on that item. That's correct. I think that's exactly right. I mean, so basically, you also have to be prepared to get ripped off a little bit. So, political buttons and tokens are my thing, particularly national, but not exclusively national races. And what happens is after a while, you start to notice certain things. Like, for example, if a pin from the 19-teens and 20s is over half an inch in diameter, be suspicious, because most people didn't wear big pins back then. They didn't make big pins. They were super small, like a quarter of an inch, sometimes just even smaller than that.
Like the size of a dime. A big one would be the size of a nickel.
Yeah. So, like, for example, this is the Dr. Swallow, 1896. He ran as the Prohibition Party candidate for governor of New York.
That's a keeper, man.
It's cool, right? Look at that magnificent beard, right?
Oh, and by the way, let me interrupt you for a second. I found your Eugene V. Debs statue currently on sale on eBay. Starting bid $500.
Nice. So far, that's a good investment. Eugene Debs stuff is very collectible, ironically, considering his politics. I have like about 6 Eugene Debs pinbacks that are authentic, and you start to notice certain things, just like the construction of the pins. But you do get ripped off. You're going to buy a few things, and you're going to be like, ah, shit, this is fake. And if you paid a lot for it, you should return it and complain and stuff. But you will just start to notice the patterns. You can buy books, you can research. But I think also when you know the stories and the history, when you know like a lot about the topic you're interested in, it matters. So, for example, someone in the chat said that they had some Osama bin Laden ephemera. When I was in the northern areas in northern Pakistan in 2000, 2001, I bought like an Osama bin Laden T-shirt from an Al-Qaeda recruiting office. It was in the window. I had to have it. Now, of course, obviously, like, let's say I'm selling that to someone. Like, they have to, first of all, there's provenance. They know I was there. Yes. I can prove I was there. I have photographs of myself there at the time. But also, you wouldn't expect a high quality silk screen because it's fucking northern Pakistan, right? So like you're just looking. So it's kind of like there's certain things that you want to, and you're going to look at like who made the T-shirt. It's just like little details like that. But it's a lot of these hobbies are super fun because they tell, like Lincoln's hairs. It's the story. It's not about fucking hairs. It's Abe Lincoln, and then like why do you have his hairs, and how did they get there? That's what makes it so fascinating.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I just love it. They're almost like sports cards that are now called relic cards, where it's got a little scrap of the player's uniform or a little piece off of his shoe or whatever. I mean, in most cases, they're not worth anything. Little kids love to collect them because they're unusual and something special. But there are some of them that you're like, no, I saw one the other day. It was for sale for $5,000, and it included just a little scrap, like I'm going to say a 1/2 inch by a 1/2 inch from Babe Ruth's uniform, and it was accompanied by a picture of Babe Ruth in the uniform. And with a red circle, they circled where the swatch came from. You could tell because it was like there were two different colors. It was like part of the number and part of the lighter color of the uniform. Cool stuff, And what are things worth? Things are worth what somebody's willing to pay you for them.
That's true. And
I love baseball, and I love Walter Johnson, greatest baseball player to ever come out of the Washington, D.C. area, the greatest right-handed pitcher in the history of the game. And I mean, he retired 105 years ago. So I said to a friend of mine who's an expert on T206 baseball cards, he's actually published the world's leading, study on T206 baseball cards. They used to come in packs of cigarettes. So they're only from the 1909, 1910, and 1911 season. My son and I collect them. Well, I buy them and then I give them to my son is what it is. So I called this buddy of mine who published the big book, and I said, what should I buy? And he said, I just found a Walter Johnson with an unusual back from Polar Bear cigarettes. Most of the backs were from Piedmont cigarettes. So Polar Bears are unusual. I said, how much is it? He said, $665. I said, I'll take it. So I Venmo'd him $665. That was like just as COVID was hitting. And then he called me 2-3 weeks ago, and he offered me $3,000 for it. It's this big. It's just a baseball card. And it's not even in very good condition. But stuff is worth what somebody is willing.
Well, it's like the James K. Polk thing that I'm after. Exactly. It's small. I mean, it's the size of a dime. And, it's just, they call it a shell token. And it's got the little picture, little stamp of his vice presidential running mate, or his vice president, I should say, not his running mate, Dallas. And it's very, very cool. And James K. Polk was a very cool, underrated president.
Yeah.
So there's that story too. One of those. All right. There was a request in the chat to get rid of one super annoying troll. He is now gone. Robbie would have taken care of this faster than I was able to, but I apologize for how long it took me to get to it. Okay. No. Well, there are people. Well, Stephen Victor Andrews, I have a whole story about John Walker Lind. Okay. So the only thing is, John, one thing about collecting, and we should move on a little bit to the news, is like it gets hard once you have a great collection.
Yeah.
And it's like, so it's kind of like, it's almost sad. Like people will be like, oh, I have this Jimmy Carter pin, and, I'm very grateful, but, probably I already have it. Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, like it's sort of like my record collection is like that. Like for punk and new wave, it's 99% comprehensive. It's highly unlikely I will ever find. I cannot ever again in my life go to a cool record store and find a record that I didn't previously have. Maybe on eBay, if I keep searching diligently, I'll find one. But it's like, and it's kind of sad when it gets to that point, because it's like, you feel snotty, like, I have all the McKinleys, and there's a lot of McKinleys.
No, but you know what the next step for you then is, Ted? Is to do a book.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but like a coffee table book with really great photography.
I am thinking also of I know, like, it's like this. It'll sound insane, but political ribbons seem like an undervalued, collectible. There used to be campaign ribbons that were magnificent, long, like 5 inches long, and beautiful patterns. Pardon?
Most didn't survive.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm kind of really interested in cloth collectibles, like, because of the fact that they're so unlikely to survive. In the election of 1888, there were a lot of cloth buttons, and between Grover Cleveland and Benjamin Harrison, and I'm always on the lookout for those, because if you have it, it's like, not only is it from 1888, which is cool enough, but on top of that, it's cloth and it's still here.
You know, I was visiting my sister. My sister lives in Bedford, New Hampshire. I love it up there. So I'm visiting my sister, and all of New England is just full of antique shops.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm at an age now, like you are, Ted, where I'm not just going to buy just random crap that happens to look fun in an antique shop. It has to fit into a collection. Mm-hmm. Sure enough, we're in this place in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and it's a tea service. And the only reason I paid any attention to it is that the little sign said it had been owned by Buzz Aldrin. Oh,
the astronaut.
Yeah. And so I asked the woman that was working there, I said, what can you tell me about this tea service? It was like tea service for 6, I think it was. Mm. And she said, she goes, actually, that's mine. It was my mother's. She said, my mother grew up next door to Buzz Aldrin. And when her mother got married, Buzz Aldrin couldn't make it to the wedding because he was like, going to the moon or something. I don't know. And so he sent them this tea service. And I'm thinking the whole time, provenance. You say it belonged to Buzz Aldrin. And she said, I still have the card that he wrote that he sent with the tea service. And she had it underneath one of the saucers. So she showed it to me, and it says, Dear Maggie, I'm so sorry that I'm not able to make it to the wedding. I bought you this tea service. I hope you enjoyed in good health. Your friend, Buzz Aldrin. And I said, well, how much are you asking for all this? And she said, $80. And I was like, $80 with the provenance that includes the signed card from Buzz Aldrin. So I bought it.
Done.
What I'm going to do with some old lady's tea service, I have no idea. It's in a box, but it's kind of cool. And I'll give it to one of my kids eventually.
Yeah, the purchase is like a huge thing. I studied under Robert Paxton, who's the fascism expert at Columbia, and he had this amazing portrait. He collected propaganda art, as do I, and he had this amazing poster of Marshal Pétain, the ruler of Vichy France, and it was, who was the fascist leader of he was the ultimate collaborator, quisling motherfucker. And there's a picture of him looking all old, and which he was like 85. And it says in French, like, do you know better than him how to run the country? And it's like, how awesome is that? It's like, yeah, I do fucking know better than him how to run the country. Biggest asshole ever. And so he's like, he said he was in a little junk shop. He had like $14 to his name. And it was like, the guy was like, it's $14. And he's like, I'm not going to be able to, get the metro home. It's like, I don't take it or leave it. And the guy's like, I'll take it. And he like walked across Paris with it. And I'm like,
oh my God.
And I had an incident like that happen like shortly thereafter, after Paxton told me that story. This was in the 80s. I'm in Lower Manhattan in this little junk shop. It was called Our Lady of Shinbone Alley. It was right next to the old Tower Records on Shinbone Alley. If you're a real New Yorker, you know where that is. It's between Broadway and Lafayette, down in the Village. And anyway, it was this old dude. Like it was like esoteric junk shop. There were LPs, there were old dolls. It was one guy like wearing a wife beater T-shirt. He had like mustard stains in his armpits, smoking cigars. Like, you know, like if anyone's ever a pedophile, it was him. And like just a gross dude. And he's like, "What are you looking for?" And I'm like, "Oh, you know, I like political buttons." He's like, "I don't have any of those." "Anything else?" I'm like, "Yeah, I like political cartoons." He goes, "Well, I got these." And he pulls out this box and he pulls it out. He goes, $8, take them all. And so I opened it up and they're heavy. And I knew immediately, like, so this is literally like my retirement fund. They were Thomas Nast originals from Harper's. There's 54 of them. 54 of them. And they're all from Harper's. And I at first I was like, wait, are these like are these prints? It's like, and I was like, I know, yeah, I'm a political cartoonist. I know originals. And it was like, this is original artwork and in beautiful condition. He's like, take it all, $8. Yeah, $8. And I was a poor college student, and I literally had $8.15 on me. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to, like Paxton, I was like, I'm not going to be able to take the subway home. And I didn't feel comfortable about jumping the turnstile because, like, I'd lose my NASs, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, you know, okay, well, take it or leave it. So it was in the East Village. I was attending Columbia. And it was raining. So I asked him for a bag and a plastic bag. I wrapped it all up and I carried these heavy fucking things all the way from 8th Street to 116th Street, from the east side to the west side. It was like, it took 3 or 4 hours to get home. By the time I got home, I was miserable, smelled bad, but I was like, I gotta have these. And I've kept them through thick and thin. And, you know, I'm really glad that I did because they're worth a lot of money now.
Man, that is fantastic. They've got to be worth a ton of money.
Yeah, I mean, they typically go for about $100,000 or $120,000 each. So it's a lot of money. Yeah. Yeah, they're safe and sound. Don't break into my house. I don't have them in my house. You know?
Wow. Good for you. That's.
But it's like I've always said, it was my retirement plan. So, I mean, of course, it's also funny because the Ohio State University Art Museum, Cartoon Art Museum, they were like, they got wind of my NASs and they were like, oh, you know, would you, you know, you should really consider donating them to the museum. And I'm like, gee, I think I will donate exactly as many as NAST originals to OSU as I have, as the number of speaking invitations I've received from OSU, which is donut hole. So it's like, I will be keeping those and selling them. Else Sotheby's will be getting my NASs. But anyway.
Yeah.
So let's see. Do we have any other things to discuss here? Oh yeah, we should talk about Duterte. Yeah.
Yeah, we should.
So Duterte, like, Philippines. He was basically sort of like a more vicious version of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
When he became the president of the Philippines back in 2013, he basically was like, I'm going to literally have my cops clean up the streets of Manila and other cities by and granted, the Philippines had a massive drug problem at the time. Mm-hmm. And he's like Malay in El Salvador, I'm going to kill them. I'm literally he campaigned on this. I'm going to murder drug dealers. Mm-hmm. And so he was elected, and true to his word, he did. He had death squads go out, and they were cops for the most part and paramilitaries. And they went out and worked the streets and just fucking gunned them down like dogs. And by all accounts, it worked. It really put a dent in the drug business in these cities. But he's also a fucking butcher and a maniac.
Yeah, you can't do that.
No. Well, apparently he could until he couldn't. Mm-hmm. So now he's in the clutches of the International Criminal Court. And today he got charged. He is currently facing charges for 76 murders. My only regret is that he's not bunking with Bibi.
Yeah, seriously, I have to agree. Yeah, Bibi's been charged, but he'll never face the music.
No,
not a chance. Mm-mm. I am pleasantly surprised that the Filipinos would actually put cuffs on him and put him on a plane and send him to The Hague. That was a surprise to me.
Me too.
Exactly what they did.
Abby Marie wants to know, what are our thoughts on 50 states, one Israel? I don't know about this. One of my friends went on it, and I don't know if I'll be able to depropagandize him.
Jeez, I don't know what that is. Heard of it.
Okay, I don't know what that is either. Hey, John, did you see Macron had to walk 30 minutes because the streets are blocked?
Yeah, they closed the streets on the east side of Manhattan for Donald Trump's motorcade and kept them closed. And poor Macron had to get out of his limo and walk the rest of the way to the United Nations. Crazy.
Okay, it looks like I have some more blocking to do. It's boring. It's boring. I'll take care of that. Here we go. You can't stop me. Incorrect. Wrong.
Who was that?
Allah.
Hey, Andrew Bustamante, welcome. Andrew is a CIA officer. We've talked about him a number of times, and he and I had a nice debate on the Danny Jones show, year and a half, 2 years ago. Great. Okay.
All right. It's so funny. Everybody's coming in. So let's see. Have we ever seen the Sicario films? I have. I don't know what the Sicario films are, so I'm going to assume I did not see them.
I apologize. I don't know either.
All right.
Widow Butta. Are there jobs in the CIA for people with microbiology degrees? Absolutely, yes. There is room in the CIA for people with any degree. I tell a story that on my very first day in the agency, when we're in the bubble, the CIA auditorium, getting our briefings from insurance and security and everybody. I was sitting next to two people, a guy on my left and a woman on my right, and I asked them where they had come from. The woman had just graduated from the Falls Church, Virginia Academy of Beauty, and they made her into a master disguise maker. And the guy on my left had been a cartoonist in the school paper, and they turned him into a master forger. So if you've got either a specialty or the ability to develop a specialty, yeah, there's room for you. Sure.
I used to have a great interest in counterfeiting. I didn't do it, but I did have a little business as a forger when I was in middle school and high school. I basically would forge excuse notes so that my classmates could get out of school and take a sick day. So the business was pretty sophisticated. I'd have them collect copies of their parents' letterhead and stationery. I'd keep them on file. I'd have them secure copies, Xerox copies or copies of their handwriting, and then when the note was needed, please excuse John. John was out yesterday with the flu. He will be back tomorrow. He will make up his homework. And these letters, I got to say, were so good that they always passed muster. And on more than one occasion, the parent literally much later was asked about it. And it was like, well, that is me. That is my writing. And that is my paper. So, yeah, I must have written it.
Ted, you and I, the last night is saying that we changed our positions on the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Oh, so really? How so?
I don't think that I changed my position. Yeah, the last night says, John, is there any chance you can address the total 180 opinion from your latest Deep Focus podcast concerning the Charlie Kirk incident, then yesterday both you guys really had some bad comments. I've been a fan.
Maybe if the commenter could be more specific.
Yeah. Last night, can you write a little bit more about that? Because I'm confused, but I'm happy to address it, whatever it is. Yeah.
Because I mean, the thing is, there's so many aspects to this, right? Like, was Charlie Kirk, I mean, I've been very I think we've both been consistent about saying he did not have it coming.
No.
He wasn't he wasn't evil or anything like that. He definitely had some reprehensible politics in some respects. I think the worst thing about Charlie Kirk was this hit list, this snitch list that he maintained on college professors. This is, if you're a free speech warrior, which he claimed to be, you can't be, threatening to get people fired over their free speech. And, you can say like, well, it's legal to do that if it's a private institution. Sure, but don't try to get people fired over their free speech. I mean, the First Amendment should protect your free speech, even in a private enterprise, even though it doesn't. But yeah, I mean, by the way, I don't claim to always be consistent on things. Human beings are not.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it's the episode of Deep Focus that Knight is talking about is where I interviewed Elizabeth Lane. She's an investigative journalist with Unified Television, and she was at the hospital when Charlie Kirk was pronounced dead. Interestingly enough, there were no other major media members at the hospital, just because there was no major media covering his talk at Utah Valley University, because it was the same thing he would do time after time after time at campuses across the country. I think I said in Deep Focus that his killing deserves a fulsome investigation. I believe the kid did it. I don't have any reason to believe the Israelis did it, or
right.
The Antifa did it or whatever. But I don't think I've changed my position. I've been pretty consistent with that.
James Gamalis wants to know, this is for you, and he thought of doing an update on the return of the Parthenon marbles.
You know what? There's movement.
The Elgin marbles, right? By the British Museum.
No, we don't call it the Elgin marbles.
I wanted to see what you would say.
There's been real movement in the past week. I'll tell you, the Brits finally got to the point where they realized this is untenable. They're going to have to return them. So the idea from the British side was that they'll send them back to Greece as a permanent loan. And the Greeks are like, no, we're not going to play that game. They belong to us. They were stolen from us. They are a major part of our national patrimony. We want them back free and clear.
And Greece has a beautiful museum, because the Brits' argument used to be like, oh, well, the Greeks are dorks. They don't have a place to put them. We keep them nice and air conditioned. Everything's cool. Right. It's like, but
I'll tell you what, the Acropolis Museum is way better than the British Museum in terms of physical plant. This is an A-list, like globally ranked museum. It's
the British Museum is like a musty old. Yeah, it's an old school place.
Yeah. So just over the past week, reports have leaked out that the Brits are preparing to give them back because of a previously scheduled renovation of the room at the British Museum where the marbles are kept. And so the idea would be that they would say they're loaning the marbles to the Greeks and then never ask for them back. And then the Greeks would say, oh, the British returned the Parthenon marbles, so everybody's happy now. We've never been this close.
Well, I hope it. Honestly, it is way fucking overdue. Yeah. All right, we should probably wrap up with Jimmy Kimmel. So Jimmy Kimmel, the ABC kicked him off the air. I think we all assumed it was going to be permanent, because usually whenever a show is suspended, it never comes back. But Obviously, there was a lot of blowback. A lot of
Yeah.
stars said they would not work with Disney or ABC anymore if this went through. There were discussions over the weekend, and adding to the complexity, right? It's like ABC affiliates are their own company. There's Sinclair, there's Nexstar. So Nexstar, and I'm not sure where Sinclair is standing, but Nexstar is saying we're not going to air it. So basically, depending on which city you're in, Jimmy will either be on your local ABC affiliate like nothing ever happened, or he'll be somewhere else like randomly, or he won't be anywhere at all, and you'll have to like watch him online if you're interested. I think this is overall, I mean, without the Nexstar and Sinclair stuff, this would be undoubtedly a loss for Donald Trump in terms of his prestige.
Yes.
And it would be a win for the First Amendment. But it's a little more mixed and muddled because of this situation with the distributors. Yeah,
I think that's right. Trump declared victory on this last week. That Jimmy Kimmel's gone. Next one is going to be, I forget who he said.
Yeah.
And
Fallon, all the Jimmys.
That's right. Fallon, like anybody cares about Jimmy Fallon. So my brother's wife, I'm staying in their home right now. My brother's wife is the director of animation at Disney. And so she picks up all kinds of great scuttlebutt at Disney. And she came back yesterday and said that, well, there were 2 points that she made. Number one, everybody is absolutely furious with Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, because he buckled again. He buckled when ABC, which Disney owns, agreed to pay that $18 million defamation payment to Donald Trump. And then he buckled again by suspending Jimmy Kimmel. So number one, people want Iger to go, which he should for other reasons too. The other thing is that as a standard part of the agreement that Disney ABC has with local affiliates, if there's a show that local affiliates don't want to run, as we're seeing now with Kimmel, ABC has the right to give the show to affiliates of other networks in those markets. So you and I could watch Kimmel on ABC tonight, but he might be on NBC in Tuscaloosa, and he might be on CBS in Mobile, and he might be on Fox, somewhere else.
So let's talk about the content. I'm hearing that Jimmy is going to be forced to make some sort of mea culpa. He's going to have to say like, sorry, I was insensitive or whatever, which is frankly very gay that he has to do that. But anyway, I mean, I kind of get it. It's a lot of money and he wants to keep getting it. As Jordan points out, Sinclair not only wants an apology, but a donation for Turning Point USA before letting Jimmy on. I don't think Jimmy can possibly agree to that, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
So
yeah, I this is really going to be the tell as to where late night television goes after this. I watched what's his face on HBO last night, the British guy, and he was just dropping F-bombs every fourth or fifth word, and like daring the administration, daring the FCC to do something about it. So I don't know. I think we're seeing a little bit of a tempest in the teapot here. It's going to be fun to watch in the coming couple of weeks.
Hey, the sassier, the better.
Yeah, I agree.
I love this. The average age of broadcast TV watchers is 65, says Stephen Victor Andrews. I'm not even going to check that because that sounds right to me. I used to say this is kind of like the statistic we used to have about print newspaper readers. And it was like the average age of a print newspaper reader kept increasing 1 year every year. And I was like, well, eventually the average newspaper reader will be dead.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Now we'll see. Tell you the truth,
John Oliver. Yeah, that's right. That's
John Oliver. I appreciate that. I stopped watching late night TV when Leno finished. I never liked Jimmy Kimmel.
Thank you very much. For that.
I always liked Jimmy Kimmel. I never liked Jimmy Fallon because he always laughs at his own jokes. Drives me crazy.
I hate that too.
I like Kimmel only because he seems like a nice guy. But otherwise, I don't know. I just don't pay any attention anymore.
It can't be all bad. He dated Sarah Silverman.
That's right. And she's fun.
She's cute. All right. So with that, I think we will just leave it there. You're watching DeProgram. We are here Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Please like, follow, and share the show. Don't forget to watch us over on Rumble. Buy our books. You can just, if you forget what the titles are, just go to, just Google John Kiriakou and Amazon. Just Google Ted Rall and Amazon, or go to our respective websites. I sell signed copies of my books. I don't know if you do, John.
I am very happy to.
Okay, there you go. By the way, I'm going to have a big sale. I've been doing a lot of cleaning. I have tons of back issues of my old books, and I'm like, I want these out. And I think I'm going to sort of start I'll do it on the show, but I think I'm going to be like, hey, you want 5 of my books for, a song, I'll ship them to you. So if people are interested in that, I'm just putting it out there. Keep your shekels ready. All right, guys, we'll see you back here. Oh, by the way, a little housekeeping. Starting next week, John's on a secret, undisclosed location, and we are going to be doing this in the morning for 3 weeks. So we will be here, I guess, at 9 a.m. Eastern time for the next 3 weeks, starting Monday. But the rest of this week.
Let's start it on Wednesday. I got my flight details today, and I'm going to leave early Tuesday morning. So I won't be on the show next Tuesday, but I will Wednesday, and we're going to start doing it in the morning.
So Tuesday I'll do it with Robbie or someone else, or with a guest host, or we'll just take Tuesday off. People can chime in with their preferences in the chats tomorrow, or now, whatever. Let us know. Would you rather have a Johnless show or no show? Up to you guys. Anyway, we'll be back 5 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Thanks very much, and see you later.
Ted, I've got a